this video, our second video, we'd like to talk about the hidden cost of traditional dog training. So we want to talk today a little bit about where we see ourselves fitting into the world of dog behaviour when the dog behaviour world itself is filled with all of these very strong voices. We've got traditional obedience, class training, we've got positive reinforcement, we've got balanced training, so many different things.
Mm.
Kate, would you like to start off by talking about your thoughts on this world?
Yeah, and I think that traditional kind of obedience training that I mean, I remember as a child going with my mum with our dog to that, the little village hall, doing that, that obedience training. And now through the lens of learning about dog listening, really seeing dog behavior classes, really setting dogs up and owners up to fail big time. And the reason why is because we're putting a dog and their guardian in a very unfamiliar environment where there's a lot of other dogs, lots of other smells, lots of other people feeling anxious and worried. There's a lot going on. And then we're trying to teach our dog something new. And we expect them to do it perfectly. And if they don't, then you're a bad dog owner, and the dog's a bad dog. And
Yeah.
it's really setting up this scenario of for us to feel bad and the dog to get it wrong and to feel stressed. And I don't know about you, but when I'm feeling stressed or anxious, I'm not going to be the best version of myself.
Do you know what? That's exactly what you've just described is exactly what happened with Chili, who we'll do a video on at some point in this series. But that's exactly what happened with her and I. She was really, I didn't recognize it for what it was, but she was really nervous in that puppy class.
Mm.
Um, and actually I came away thinking that not only was there something wrong with me as an owner, but there was also even more worryingly something wrong with her. Um, with oh my gosh, is she aggressive? Have I got the bully of the playground? That's kind of how it left me feeling. We didn't finish those classes because little by little I could start to see that I was putting her in a position that she wasn't coping very well with.
Yeah. And it's so easy in those situations to feel so frustrated with your dog. Why won't you listen to me? Why won't you to do what you're told to do? And
Yeah.
they just can't because, they're just doing their best they can in an environment and with the information they've got. And if our dogs are not relaxed in the first place, there's so much going on here. We've communicated with the dog that they need to actually be responsible for us. Then we're going into an environment where we're probably quite stressed and the dog's picking up on that. Then there's lots of other stressed dogs and lots of other stressed owners. And in an environment where, and it's just, you can see from every angle, we're just setting the dog up to fail. And then we expect them just to do it. And some dogs can do it. Some dogs will do it. I don't know whether how comfortable they feel in those environments, but they can just do it. Other dogs just can't, and then the owner's left as a failure. But the dogs that can do it are so often, and I've had lots of clients myself that go, well, when we're in the classes, they'll do it. They'll wait and they'll stay. But as soon as we're out on a walk, they just won't do it. And maybe they're complying just because of that kind of pressure that they might feel or the fear out of fear, not because there's an understanding or that wonderful communication that dog listening has. It's out of compliance and fear of getting it wrong from the dog, so that's why they'll do it. And then when they're out of that environment, they just won't do it. And have you seen that from your clients happening?
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with you about there are certain dogs who will comply. There are certain dogs that their desire to have a food reward will override anything else. And they're just like, okay, tell me what to do and I'll get the food. Fine. There are certain dogs that do that. Those are generally the dogs that get ticked and with a certificate at the end. But
Mm.
if your dog is not like that. And food doesn't override everything else. And maybe they're a little bit more sensitive, or maybe they're looking around and feeling, actually, I don't feel very safe here.
Mm,
And they seem to drop through this kind of traditional training net.
mm,
And it's those ones that we end up picking up actually as dog listeners sometimes, isn't it? We end up sometimes being the end of the line for these dogs that have dropped through the traditional or obedience training net and positive reinforcement net.
mm,
And they just don't understand what is being asked of them. And so then they are seen as being either stubborn, that's a common word, stupid sometimes, or just bad, not good at this.
mm,
Um, and it's really sad because actually this is just a dog being a very natural dog, looking around, feeling unsafe, and needing space and time to be able to cope and
yeah,
compute the surroundings.
yeah.
It can be quite sad. We do set them up to fail.
Yeah, and it's just like it's interesting you said about certificates and there's like bronze, silver, gold, and all and and I suppose that leads into like all these dog competitions that you can go to and things like that. It's like it's this world, this human world that we're putting extreme expectations onto our dog, and that compliance can be seen as a good dog. It's seen as a goods dog, but there isn't any understanding there about the dog's point of view and their choices and their intelligence within that. And and that always, there's a cost to that. And I've actually helped quite a few dog trainers that do dog classes, training classes, agility classes with their own dogs, because yes, they can jump up when they say to jump up, or they can, do all the tricks and everything. But at home, dogs are anxious, can't relax, their separation anxiety. And that trainer's like, what, I'm embarrassed, I'm teaching other people to do this. And my dog's like this at home. And as soon as it's like, well, I think we always explain dog listening, don't we, as like a jigsaw.
Hmm.
And when those missing pieces are put in place, and there's been quite a number of trainers actually have now learned dog listening and the impact that it's had on their own dogs. And there is a place for agility. Of course there is.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Don't we always say that, once you've got your relationship with your dog really, deeply trusting and balanced between the two of you, you can go on and do whatever you want, whatever your dog's personality, you know, and you choose to do.
Yeah.
Go and do scent training, agility. Go and do more obedience training if that's what you and your dog enjoy,
Mm.
but without the baking the cake, as Tony Knight used to say.
Yeah.
You can't ice an unbaked cake. And that's what I think that's how we often describe dog listening is really baking that beautiful cake of the relationship between human and canine first. And then you can go and do anything. But if you haven't got that solid foundation of a relationship, then you might be able to do the tricks, but you've still got a dog that incessantly barks or can't stop following you around or can't relax,
Mm.
which is often what we see when there's a lot of emphasis on doing and training, isn't there? That we're actually seeing that dogs are being taught not to be able to relax.
Yeah, they're
They're
like
kept going, kept going.
adrenaline
Yeah,
junkies. Yeah.
yeah.
Go, 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 go. And then what pops in is, oh, it's the breed. It's the breed of dog.
Oh,
Yeah, it's because they're a border collie or it's because they're a cocker spaniel. They can't switch off. They can't switch off, or they're a
mm,
Malinois or whatever it
yeah.
is.
What
And
about what about boxers? They can't switch off.
well, boxers are mental.
Yeah, all of them are bonkers.
Yeah, and then because we are seeing that, we're going, oh, just the breed, and we're trying to make like almost excuses for their behavior, so we don't feel embarrassed because it's not us, it's the breed. It's not about how I've communicated the dog, it's the breed. And I think the one of the real big aha moments that I had during dog listening is like, yeah, it's got nothing to do with the breed of dog. Yes, different breeds have different characteristics, but ultimately, all dogs communicate, and we communicate with them in exactly the same way, and they've all got the same language. And so that's what I loved about dog listening is the fact that we're not making excuses for dogs' behaviors or, putting sticking plasters. Oh, it's because they're a border collie, or oh, it's because they're just a bit stupid, or whatever it is. With dog listening, you get to the root cause and you truly understand your dog. And any dog, no matter what the breed is, no matter what they've been through, can learn to relax and let go. They really can. And we've seen it over and over and over again, haven't we?
Mm, yeah, I've just thought of a little mini example that people might like to think about. I've had a conversation or a few over the years about, oh, my dog's not the smartest tool in the box or something like that. So I'll say, oh, tell me an example. What do you mean by that? Well, he knows what I want. When I call him to me, he just stands there looking. And so that's often either described as stubborn or thick,
Mm,
stupid. Um, Whereas actually, and I will bide my time in explaining this to the person that I'm working with, because I don't want to. We've all got our own journey around understanding this and getting to this, and none of us want to make anybody feel more stupid than we already feel, being humans. But what I would love to highlight is that a dog always needs a reason to do something. And sometimes us just calling the dog's name and calling the dog to us is not reason enough
yeah.
for that dog.
Yeah.
And if we see it like that, then that's a way in and we can start to think, okay, right, what does this dog need from me to be able to interact in the way that is really enjoyable for us both together?
Mm,
Um, and it's about looking at what's the dog seeing when we are when we're interacting with them, and then what does he need on top of that?
mm.
Um, yeah,
It's
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 an interesting
interesting
one.
you've said that because that kind of, I suppose, leads me on to look at because when we don't understand our dogs, some people will then go, right, okay, what can I do? What can I do? Okay, they're not listening to me, not responding to me. So then we might look at other behavior methods such as force, balance training, the positive reinforcement. There's so many different trainers, very famous trainers out there that advocate these approaches, which are incredibly damaging. And so often I see videos on social media pop up and it'll be somebody yanking a dog with a lead or something. And it just feels like it's not a loving communication between you and your dog. It's a forceful communication. You will do what I tell you to do. And if you're listening to that and you go, yeah, I've kind of felt a bit, that doesn't feel right. It's never felt right to me, but sometimes people are so desperate, they're like, that's what I need to do. I need to yank my dog, or I need to use this device on my dog to get them to comply. You don't have to do that. There
Mm,
is another way to do it that's a kind, calm way that's going to build a beautiful relationship with your dog, and your dog's not going to live in fear of what you might do if they don't comply. Your dog's going to willingly want to follow you. They're going to trust you. They're going to have confidence in you, and you don't need to use any of that forceful dominance. And so if you've ever felt that you've done it to your dog and you feel that it's not right, you don't need to do it anymore. There is a different way to do
mm.
that.
And that's part of our mission, isn't
Mm,
it, Kate? And Julie will say the same. Our mission is to spread the word of this amazing approach. It's not new, but not as many people know about it as some of the other methods that we've mentioned.
mm,
So if it was anything like myself, 15 years ago, I didn't know about it until I'd gone through everything else and not felt comfortable
Yeah.
with those bigger, louder approaches. Um, and discovering falling onto dog listening was the thing that changed everything. And
Mm.
so our mission is to try not to be that last, the thing that we people find last. We've
Yeah.
got to get this um,
Getting
better
there
known.
first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing more beautiful than a relationship with a dog who does what you ask of its own free will.
Mm.
Nothing more beautiful.
Yeah. And just before we kind of wrap up, I just want to talk briefly about this cycle that people find themselves in, which I think we've both found ourselves in. And that cycle is you have a problem with your dog. It's excessively barking. Let's use that example. So we go onto University of Google and we go, right, every time the dog barks, you need to spray it in the face with some water. Right, okay, I'll get some water. Okay, it doesn't feel right, but I'm going to do it anyway because that's what Google says. So then we do that. It might work because the dog's shocked or like, what the hell? Okay, now I've got something else to fear. I was barking because I'm scared of what's happening out there and I feel I need to protect you, but now I'm scared of the water coming in my face as well. I've got something else to worry about. And then the barking might actually get worse. Okay, we'll go back onto University of Google. Right, every time the dog barks, you need to shake these stones in this bottle to, this is what happens. People go round and round in these circles. They'll try something, it won't work long term. They try something else, won't work long term, and you get into this cycle. And every time you're stressing yourself out, the dog's becoming confused, going, "What the hell's going on?" Nothing in its life is kind of relaxed and settled and in routine because you're trying things all the time just to try and fix the dog.
Mm. And
Uh,
isn't it like that game called Whack-A-Mole?
yeah,
Where you try and solve one problem,
yeah.
isolated problem, like you were saying about barking and maybe the loud noises or something like that. And maybe it stops the barking for a certain point in time, but then maybe they're so frustrated and a bit confused and they don't know what's happening, so they start chewing the furniture.
Mm,
So another behavior pops up when you just deal with a behavior in isolation.
yeah. And it's just this cycle that we've seen ourselves. We've seen most of our clients and our students have also seen it as well. And so it's just instead of going into that cycle of doom, it dog listening really does look at your dog as a whole. And so you don't have to play that game of whack-a-mole. You can look at your dog and communicate with them in a way they understand in all areas of their life,
Mm.
so that they can just relax and let go.
Yeah.
That is what's so wonderful about dog listening. So, think that is all we've got to say about the hidden cost of traditional dog training. I'm sure we've got plenty more to say in other videos. But yeah, the next video, Ali's going to be sharing more about her story with Chili, which is going to be really exciting, and the journey that she, bless her, when she was a little pupster. So yeah, that's going to be really, really exciting to hear about that journey, and hopefully it's going to help you to kind of see things differently with your own dog too. So thanks everybody, and goodbye for now.